Hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about Allegri's Miserere. You've probably seen that epic helium video. And you may hear it around Easter time, but Allegri's Miserere is one of the most famous pieces of music ever written. And if you know the lore and history of this piece, or maybe you don't, but you've heard this, that Mozart listened to it once when he was visiting Rome and he was able to transcribe it, which he shouldn't have done because the Vatican or whatever, the Catholic Church, was keeping it very locked up in secret, but Mozart transcribed it anyway. And for someone like Mozart, who had a photographic memory, I think he had an eidetic memory, which means he can't really forget anything, and he had perfect pitch to the absolute extreme, and this piece is quite repetitive, I'd say he wouldn't have had that much difficulty transcribing it. That's enough talking. I just wanted to provide you with a brief backstory on this piece. Anytime Allegri's Miserere comes up, everybody always says, ooh, Mozart transcribed it, ooh, the Catholic Church was keeping it under wraps, yada, yada, yada. So now you can engage and participate in that conversation. As we always do with these great choral works, I have my score in front of me, and anytime I reference the score or talk about specific things, I will put the score on the screen. Let's jump right in. This is VOCES8 singing Allegri's Miserere. There is no greater opening than this. There's such a nostalgic element in this piece for me because when I started to get into classical music and choral music when I was a kid, I stumbled across Allegri's Miserere. And yes, when I was getting ready to go to school, when I went to the gym, when I was in long car rides, this is the kind of thing I was listening to. I know, it's just, I liked it, okay? And the text is, Miserere mei Deus. Have mercy upon me, O God. The way this phrase is shaped and the way VOCES8 sings it, it just screams mercy. Have mercy upon me, O God. VOCES8 posted this 8 months ago at the time of this recording, and I've purposely been saving it for you guys because I knew they would do a world-class job of it, and I wanted to save it for a real reaction. So here we are in a 5-part split. We have soprano 1, soprano 2, alto, tenor, and bass. I will put the score on the screen right now. I'm looking at it right here. And you'll notice there's a fair number of notes, right? We've got miserere, me, da, 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 di, da, a lot of notes going on. But where the musicality and that beauty comes from is the shaping in which we sing these lines. And that's really important to know when we sing this kind of music, that there are a lot of notes, but you have to do something with them in order to make it music, right? I want to draw your attention to the tenor line. Miserere mei Deus. Long line. I couldn't even get through it. But the tenor's there. They have to shape. They can't just sing that D, Deus. They have to go somewhere with it. So you'll notice it's a whole note with a half note tied to it. So within that, they got to swell. They have to do something. I apologize, it's 10 a.m., so probably don't sound the greatest, but they have to swell into that. They have to go somewhere with the phrase to make it interesting. Let's go back to the very beginning and see if we can hear that tenor swell. And then what I also want you to listen for is how the choir tapers off at the very end. And I'll keep the score on the screen so you can see that, but it's not just Deus. Deus. It's Deus. And then we taper off. That is shape, okay? Here we go. Aha. So I hope you heard that. The tenors just let that note ring and they let it cut through the texture in a very natural way. So D isn't a high note for a tenor necessarily, but it's high enough that it's hard for them to sing that quietly, right? So they swell into it. It cuts through that soprano 1, 2, alto, and bass texture, which is kind of thick. And as you listen to this, I want you to listen for the different parts. What sticks out to you? And maybe you can ask the question, why is it sticking out in this exact moment? And oftentimes, if there is a tied note and it goes across the measure, like if you look at measure 1, 2, 3, 4, the soprano 2 part, Miserere mei Deus. So it goes over the bar line and they do a bit of a swell so it sticks out in that moment. This is what makes a good choir or a good ensemble. Everybody can learn the notes, everybody can learn the rhythms, and we can sing the correct pronunciation of the words. But it's the shaping, it's the attention to detail that makes them so good. And VOCES8, in my opinion, they are the greatest choir in the world. They're the greatest vocal ensemble. I don't know what actually constitutes a choir, if you have to have a certain number, but in terms of vocal ensemble, they are the best in the world, in my opinion. Aha. And one of the greatest compositional musical tools in existence, in my opinion, is that suspended fourth, fa, mi, re, mi. So the chord is D major. I'll show you on the screen right now. We've had that held G on G minor. Okay, so we have the tonic. And then the chord changes to D. So what happens, that G, which was once the tonic, now becomes the suspended fourth. And then we have the F sharp, E, F sharp. I hope you heard the soprano ones in measure 9, how they cut through that texture. So 1, misericordi. So it's sort of like a hemiola of sorts where their rhythmic structure is slightly different. So they have da 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 dee, da 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 da. So they stick out there because they're kind of the most important line in that moment. Aha. Right. So you could hear et secundum multitudinem miserationem tuarum. So there's an emphasis there because if you look at it, and it's on the screen for you right now, if you look at it, it's pretty boring looking, right? It's just B flats all over the place, that occasional C, but they didn't sing it in a boring way because they had that text emphasis. Now, this next part is the smaller ensemble, SSAB, because the tenors, they did the chant, so we don't need to worry about them. And this is where we get that very infamous high C, and your breath control has to be out of control. Let's see how they do it. feel like I'm floating right now. Maybe I'm ascending right now. Andrea Haynes, I think it was, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, it was the greatest high C I've ever heard. So we give you that Victory Royale crown. You deserved it. So it was the best high C I've ever heard, and we can totally ignore the fact that she's got a beautiful, beautiful voice and very good technique and all these things. It was so beautiful because how it was approached. This high C is very challenging for singers to do. And if you think about it, oftentimes we sing Allegri's Miserere at a church service at like 10 or 11 in the morning, and it's very difficult to sing that high that early and to keep everything in tune. This is also a cappella, right? There's nothing underneath you keeping you in tune. So if all of the other singers are slightly flat, that might make your life a little bit easier, but it's just going to sound flat. Whereas if they also go the other end, which they go a little bit sharp, then all of a sudden that high C becomes a high C sharp, or God forbid a D, and then it's just a whole mess. But she just really let it float. Et peccato meo That's really, really hard, and it looks like she wasn't doing any work at all, and it was just so easy and natural, but I promise you, there was a lot of breath work going on, and many years of hard work, experience, and experimentation on her behalf to be able to sing that. You have to try it a few times in real time in order to get it that nice and to get it that beautiful and in tune. You almost have to, and I'm making a giant assumption here, you almost have to do it a few times where it doesn't really work out as much as you want it to. So thank you, Andrea, for doing it so well. And thank you to the other three for supporting that sound and keeping it so nicely in tune. Let's go back and we'll sort of ignore that high C because it's impeccable and listen to that final high G, which technically she has to hold for like 16 beats. It's kind of impossible. And she's able to taper off, but the tuning doesn't dip. And I don't honestly know how she did that. But let's listen to it one more time. I just realized she didn't even take a breath. What I would expect there would be and kind of omit the N and take that little sneak breath, but no. Huh. So staying on that B flat and not letting it dip, because when we repeat notes, and this goes as a general reminder for all music, all choral music especially, is when you have repeated notes, it needs to almost go a little higher. That's how you have to think, at least. If you have repeated notes, if it just dips and dips and dips, it's going to sound so bad. If you're hammering away and then your hammer gets a little bit lower, it's going to sound really bad. So you have to think like you're going up in a way so as to prevent you from dipping in pitch. This is so beautiful. Can music be any more beautiful than this? And to think that this came from somebody's mind, you know, I just can't even fathom how good this all is. It's just incredible. Ugh. If we look at the verse here, we're in G minor. And to be honest, basses, we don't have much trouble keeping a low G in tune. We're the root of the chord. Typically, we're quite comfortable keeping that in tune. It's actually the fifth that's going to be the most difficult to tune, and the sopranos have the fifth. And I think what sets VOCES8 apart is the intonation and tuning as an ensemble, because that is a perfect fifth. There's a reason it's called a perfect fifth and not a major fifth, right? It's perfectly in tune, and if it's not perfectly in tune, it really sticks out like a sore thumb. Let's listen to the beginning of that verse one more time, and then we'll just keep going. Da, da, da. Taper off. Quick note of appreciation, no conductor, so they're listening to each other very intensely. Also, it's memorized, so they're not looking at any other music. Makes a difference. Listen to that third one more time. How in tune is that? Oh, it's so good. A true D major chord, and then we switch down to C minor in the next chord. Listen to this. Oh, God damn. How does she even do that? To sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 measures in 4/2 time, in one breath, and in tune, and beautifully, all while paying homage to the text. How does one achieve this power?
Not from a Jedi.
Well, I don't exactly know how Andrea does it. However, I can tell you, a lot of breath work, a lot of concentration, and not panicking when you feel like you're going to run out of air. Just keep singing. Use those abdominals, and that should help. But this is like another level. This is a God level.
God mode activated.
And I'll show on your screen right now, if you look at measure 57 to 58, I always found that C to A flat really hard. Da, da. Doesn't really fit at the moment that you sing it, and then it all clicks beautifully. You get that resolution. But I always found I was always flat or something. Or I was always panicked that I was going to be flat, which is maybe a good mindset for a choral singer. Just always assume that at any point you could be flat, so never give up and always support. Always. I always found that hard to not go da 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 da. we have that kind of scoop in order to accent the word a bit. I've always had to be careful with that. And when I listen to choirs, I listen for that as well, because we'd rather it be this very simple da 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 da, rather than really trying to accent and scooping the voice. So choirs, be careful of that. Even there, et exultabunt asa, you have to be careful you don't, because then you kind of change the harmony a little bit. It's just so beautifully in tune. And I think part of the reason for that is they're all supporting, number one. Nobody's taken a vacation day as you sing this, and you can't with Allegri's Miserere. However, they're listening to each other so well. And that's a huge strength of VOCES8, is how well they listen to each other. And I'd love to see them perform live. They're actually coming to Toronto in December of this year. So in a couple months at the time of this recording. Maybe it's already passed, in which hopefully I've already gone. But they listen to each other so well, and they understand the music in a very deep level. So they know who has to kind of take over, who needs to be brought out or cut through the texture. And then they also know when, okay, I need to take a step back for just a second. Quick interruption just to introduce what the translation is. I think you can probably get the vibe from it. But have mercy on me, O God, after thy great goodness, according to the multitude of thy mercies, do away mine offenses. Wash me thoroughly away from wickedness and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my faults, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned and done this evil in thy sight, and thou mightest be justified in thy saying, and clear when thou art judged. It's about mercy. It's about washing yourself of sin and ascending to the good place and not the show. But feeling clean, washing the sin away, and then teaching your sin washing abilities to those who are wicked and may still be sinning. Yes. I feel like I haven't talked at all about vowels at all. I don't know how that's even possible. I talk about vowels all the time. Another unsung hero in this world of blending and cohesion are the vowels. So they're singing the word Zion, and they can't go Zion, right? That's too aggressive. So Zion. Very gentle transition from that E to aw, and they also have to match once they get there, because if somebody's vowel is a little bit too bright or maybe it's too dark, then it's not going to fit. And VOCES8 I like to think of as a big puzzle piece, and all the pieces just fit in perfectly. Like when we hear those resolutions, it's like you take that final puzzle piece, you just press it in there, and it's perfect. It's perfect. Jerusalem, right? Jerusalem. And that last vowel they were all singing was ah. to help their soprano out, who's singing very high and trying to keep it so perfectly in tune and balanced. Sa, la. So she's actually going sa and then doing another ah rather than ah and then m. Because even that tiny shift in vowel can throw us off a little bit. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Because music, I hate to say it, and I love to say it, I just don't think it gets any more beautiful than that. Truly. Okay. I'm just waiting for the goosebumps to subside. They're working their way through my body now. But come on, that final G major chord. What? G major? Where did you come from, you sneaky little B natural? Oh, good Lord. Good Lord above. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifice of the righteousness, with the burnt offerings and oblations. Then shall they offer young bullocks upon thine altar. So that to me just sounds like this glorious ascent into something divine. It's like that feeling when you bite into the first seasonal strawberry. You get that thing, or you achieve that thing that you've always wanted. That's how it feels. And somehow Allegri was able to put it on the page, and VOCES8 was able to make it come to life. And how did they do it? By singing so beautifully in tune. I can't fathom, and I can't even describe how in tune and beautiful they are, but they also shaped the music. Allegri wrote the notes and he had his intentions, and VOCES8 was able to just bring that to life. Let's listen back to this final line. We've split into two choirs, choir 1 and choir 2. I want you to listen carefully for the tenor ones and this very interesting upward scale texture they have, as well as the altos who have some moving parts towards the end. And then that perfect balance, that G major chord. Ooh, I still have goosebumps thinking about it. Let's listen to one more time. Listen for those tenors. I don't know what to say. What do you think? How do you feel in this moment? So many people love this piece of music, and I feel like everybody has a different feeling when they hear it. For me, it's just absolute peace. That's what resolution is for me. When a chord resolves, I feel this satisfaction in this piece. But when I hear this in particular, it's on another level. So if you've made it this far in the video, which I hope you have, leave a comment down below. How does this make you feel? That's such a therapist question, but I kind of feel like a therapist right now because I feel like I've been helped by VOCES8 and Allegri together. They really make a great team. Let me know how you feel in the comments because I feel really good. I feel at peace. I'm gonna go listen to this again. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you very, very much to VOCES8 for your careful attention to detail and your execution. The video was stunning, acoustics were great, the recording just unbelievable. So keep up the good work, please. We all need it as a society. We need this kind of music in our life. That's going to end this video today. If you enjoyed it, again, please like and subscribe. Check out my Patreon if you want bonus coverage, if you want extended versions of my content. You will find that on Patreon. Check me out on Instagram, TikTok, all those places, at Nick Higgs the Singer. That's it for me. Love you very much, and we'll see you in the next video.